Hi, you guys. Well, the inevitable has happened. Or happening, as I guess you could say. We're taking the engine out of the STI. So, as you guys just saw in that fun intro, which was just taking off a whole bunch of components, we went through and pulled off all the accessories, the power steering pump, AC, everything else. I've already got the starter out, the slide pin for the clutch fork, pulled the turbo back out, pulled the downpipe back out, all that other stuff. All that's left to do is break the bell housing bolts free, undo the pitch stop, hook up a hoist to this thing, and pull it out of here. I know I'm going to kick and you guys even said it in the comments of the last video, I'm very methodical in the way that I do things, and I know I'm going to kick myself later if something were to go wrong with this current setup with so many like unknown variables and whatnot. So we're just gonna pull it out, start popping out some bell housing bolts to get this engine free, pull it out, put it on a stand. I gotta drain the oil out of it once we do that, and just kind of see what we're working with here. In my mind, if you're gonna, like you guys said, if you're gonna do something, do it right the first time. Now that we got the engine out, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna trash this clutch and flywheel. I'm just gonna put a new one in it. Flywheels are cheap, they're like 200 bucks. Clutch, we'll figure that out. I'm not too stressed about that right this second. Heads are absolutely filthy, dude. There's oil leaking from so many spots, which I believe are the cam position sensors on here, the O-rings on it, because this side was no different. I am finding these junkyard tags on these cylinder heads. What do they say? They just said removed or void if removed on these little metal tags. I had them on the EG also. It's not a bad thing. Just they're probably refurbished or remanufactured heads or something. So I'm curious if there's any cams or anything in here. I doubt it. I know from what I've been told, this is an HMS block. We're gonna find out. We'll pop the pan off. I think I am just gonna buy a new timing belt kit for it since I have it out. If this engine, I'll keep running the engine as long as everything looks to be visually okay. I'm not too worried about that or anything like that. So let's go ahead, pop the clutch off, get the flywheel off, get this thing on an engine stand, drain the oil out of it, and start turning into it a little bit. Okay, we're just gonna keep running this block. After cleaning it up a little bit, the casing really doesn't look old, and I found out it's a 705 case, so it's somewhat new. 2017, 2018, I'd guess, is probably when this engine was assembled, if these were brand new case halves, so that would probably, if I had to guess, maybe 30K miles on this engine. It ran just fine. It was a little noisy on cold start, but it's all right. So I am going to heavily clean up this case. If there's one thing about me that I can't stand, it is grease, grime, engine oil, spilt coolant, all of that nastiness. So I'm probably going to spend a little bit of time going through here. We are going to pull the heads off. We are going to do head gaskets on this. If I have the engine out, we might as well just refresh it, do the whole kit and caboodle, do a head gasket job on it, reseal everything. I've gotten a lot of requests for a set of unequal length headers on this car, which we can do because this is a 3-bolt up pipe. So we may slap on maybe a pair of Tomeys on here or something along those lines. So I believe all the engine oil is pretty much out at this point. It's probably going to piss out of the valve covers as soon as I go to flip this thing on its side. So we'll flip it on its side, let the rest of the oil drain out. Once the rest of the oil's out, we'll pull the pan and we will see what exactly we have inside of here and if this is actually a built block or not. Fingers crossed that it is. That would be dope if it was. If it's not a huge deal. I can build my own in the future if this one ever decides to let go. But let's let it finish pooping out its oil, and then let's take off its pan. So we got our pan off, and I did notice there was some shmoo in the pickup. Some of it is RTV. There's a couple pieces of small metal. Nothing to really stress too much, but we are not gonna be using this windage tray. We are not gonna be using this pickup, so I'm gonna go ahead and get both of those pulled off there, clean the surface with just some brake clean real quick, and probably slap some tape on it. We are gonna pull the heads. The heads are leaking, or the head gaskets, I guess. Well, this one over here is leaking, so we'll pull the heads, we'll have them resurfaced, we'll toss them back on the block with new head gaskets, we'll reseal everything up, put this engine back together, and then put it back in the car. We'll do like the rear main seal, the front main seal, maybe a new oil pump, all that fun stuff. But let's go ahead and get that pickup and windage tray off of this engine. So that way I need to push out the blob eye and get the hatchback in here to find its fuel leak, so that way I can drive that thing. Go. And we can just toss in the garbage. Oh dude, yeah dude, these case halves still look pretty freaking new. I am just fine running them. Like all the old oil literally just wipes off. Yeah, I have no problem running this block. We'll send it, baby. Oh, look at that, dude. Not using brake clean or anything like that, and all the old like stained oil just wipes right off. So it looks like they're Manley connecting rods. Those are definitely aftermarket pistons also. So sick. We actually do have a built motor. Nice. Once we get the WRX in here and we get the WRX's situation figured out, we'll pull the heads off this thing. I'm curious if it's got cams or any of that fun stuff as well. So, cool. Let me get this thing pushed aside. Give me like 15, 20 minutes. Let's get the blob eye pushed out, get the hatchback pushed in. Okay, I've got the WRX in the air behind me. I'm gonna find this fuel leak. It is leaking a significant amount of fuel from the fuel tank area, which leads me to believe that one of the connections, one of the fittings, something isn't on there correctly, or we're overrunning the fuel return. If that's the case, and I have to run a -6 fuel return off of this, I will. Am I? Am I running? Am I stupid? For some reason I had a moment and I thought that black was the return and I was pushing fuel through the old feed, but no, brown down there is return, black is feed, blue is vent. So something is indeed leaking fuel, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull out the back seat to gain access to the fuel pumps. I don't smell fuel in here. I don't know. I'm gonna rip this guy out, go underneath the car. I'm gonna find this fuel leak. It's driving me nuts. I cannot find a fuel leak for the life of me, but there's clearly fuel coming out somewhere. I disconnected one fuel pump. I let one fuel pump run. I just turned it on, hardwired it to see if we were leaking any fuel. I see nothing. I see nothing anywhere. There's no fuel leaking out of literally anything. So I am going to turn the car on, let it run, and just monitor it for fuel leaks. It's clear, like there's clearly gas coming from somewhere. I don't know where. Where is this coming from? Let me start it. Let me see if I can find some fuel leaks. It's somewhere. There's gotta be one somewhere. Thing sounds fucking gnarly though. All you hear is fucking turbo. The problem only happens when I have both fuel pumps on for some reason. Don't know why. I gotta bring the wiener schnitzel in here next. working on that tomorrow. Might do it tonight, I don't know. Go, wiener schnitzel's in here. Alright, so we're gonna start tearing this engine apart. I'm gonna go ahead, just pop off the crank pulley, set timing top dead center, remove all the timing components, and then start getting ready to get these heads off of here. Monday I'll go drop them off at the machine shop so that way they can just redeck them for us. We'll toss on some OEM head gaskets, reseal everything, get the heads back on there, bada bing, bada boom, make sure everything is nice and minty for us. So, start tearing apart this engine because I gotta work on the GTI later today, knock out some maintenance for Melanie, so gotta get this thing torn down. So I've taken a lot of accessory, like a lot of the smaller stuff off, like AVCS lines, position sensors, things like that, coil packs. I have to buy a special tool to be able to get these off. The ATI dampers, for some reason, you have to have a removal tool. It's like they're machine fit for the crankshaft, and I honestly cannot get it off without a crank pulley removal tool. This is the reason why I always use fluid dampers instead of these ATIs, which I'll probably swap this over to a fluid damper instead of this ATI, is because you can't get them off. And they're like a pain to install, so I'm gonna have to run to the auto parts store later, go grab a puller, and we'll disassemble this in the next video. For right now, I gotta work on the German sausage vehicle over here, the GTI. So I've been draining the oil out of it. We gotta do oil, drivetrain flush on this, so I'm just gonna, I never show you guys any more German vehicle stuff since the Golf R blew up and left, so do a little bit of maintenance on this thing real quick. So we're just doing, I don't know how many of you guys are like old Volkswagen enthusiasts or like current Volkswagen enthusiasts, but we don't have like a fluid pump or anything like this. And servicing, we're doing a DSG service and just an oil change, basic stuff. But the DSG service, there's no fill hole in the transmission, so you have to either buy a gravity pump or fill it from right there. And dear Lord, it takes so long. It has taken me like 20 minutes to have 1 quart feed through the oil filter housing on this transmission. And there's a drain plug and a drain plug, and I dropped both of them in the oil bucket, and this thing just puts me in a bad mood. So I'm gonna try to finish servicing this thing. I gotta put oil in it, get the last 4 quarts of gear oil into that transmission. Then we gotta get it up in the air, let it run, let all the excess fluid drain out, put the plugs back on. It's a definitely an adventure with this thing, so I'm gonna keep going on it. You won't even drive out of here.
Oh, my toes are so cold. I've been out here for 3 hours.
The air's turned off.
That's good.
Come on, let's go. Yeah, all the air code's turned off. Volkswagens just weird me out about that. All that stuff's done. Now, we can get back to the Subaru stuff in the next video. It's that transmission service took way longer on that Volkswagen than I thought it would. Filling up that transmission like that took way longer, and letting it get up to temp that was like a 3-hour ordeal, filling it and letting it get up to temp to be able to drain it, to be able to drive it again. So that's all done. Speaking of transmissions, I talked to Johnny today. Our reverse gears for the WRX have shipped out, so he's gonna be coming up here next Saturday. So I'm gonna pull the transmission out of the WRX on Friday, get it ready so that way when Johnny comes up, he can disassemble the transmission, swap out the reverse gears, swap out 3rd, 4th, and 5th synchros to the newer, I think they're the carbon lined ones, I believe. Get that sorted. Over the next couple of days, I'm gonna keep going on the 04 STI. I'm gonna get some hoses and like random little miscellaneous things ordered for that car. I think we've got a lot of stuff coming for this car. We'll see. We're doing the overhaul on the engine. I'm gonna go to the auto parts store later, try to find that crank pulley puller to be able to get that thing off. For some reason, the ATI dampers, I just cannot get off. The fluid dampers I can get off, no problem, but the ATIs, it's, like I said, I think they're machined on there. So that's all I've got for you guys on this one. If you like the video, you know what to do. Go to hit that like button, turn a black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver sign, whatever color it turns for you. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to be, one of these corners, no idea which one I'll put it in quite yet, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies. Woo!